So this virtual event will be recorded, and we are going to push it out to our network for those of your friends or other people that cannot join onto this one. They will have the recording to be able to see this in the future. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. But let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody that is here. We currently have 100 participants in this Zoom. So thank you to everyone that has been pushing this out, or people that have just been a part of the past ones and you decided to join on to this one. Thank you so much for being here. If you can, actually, let's just take a quick second. If you can, just drop into the chat of how you heard about this. Was it through the Eventbrite? Was it through Riot LinkedIn's? Was it through our LinkedIn's for community or social media? We would love to see how you heard about this event. Perfect. School email, the Discord, Riot LinkedIn. Awesome. Through the Discord, everybody. Yes. Okay. So the schools are doing their job because I see a lot of school emails, meaning that once we sent it to them, they sent it to you, which is great. My friends, Instagram, Eventbrite. Perfect. Riot email. Awesome. Through someone's LinkedIn post. Christina referred me a friend. Yes, community LinkedIn. Perfect. Awesome. So just wanted to see how and which were the best ways of us to promote events like this. I see that the ways that we are promoting them is going very well. So we will kind of continue that way. But if there's anything else that you all feel, hey, don't forget to drop this in my school's Discord, or don't forget to send this to, because we already sent it to career services and the esports lab. So if there's anywhere else that you think of, please feel free to let us know. But obviously with our 100 people on here, we have been doing very well. So thank you again for everybody joining. My name is Justice Miranda. I am Director of Operations for Cxmmunity Co. We are a nonprofit organization that helps students get into the gaming industry through esports and STEM and STEAM training. So this partnership with Riot has been an ongoing one. We are very grateful for it. So we've done some things on production. We've done some things on content creation. We've done some things just based off of, hey, just to get into the gaming industry, what are some quick tips that you need to know? So if you missed any of those, please feel free to reach out to me. I also have those recorded as well. And we can make sure that you have all of the information that Riot has presented to us over these past, it's been about like 6 months now. We're rocking it out. So for everyone's understanding as well, this series that we're doing with Riot for this month is every Tuesday at this time. So this is just the first of the 4 that we have coming up. So each of those specific series are talking about something different. So it's not that we're going over the same interview and resume prep over each time. It's something else that will be covered during each of those segments, all the way concluding to our last segment, which will be talking about the Riot internships. So make sure you're on each one of these, make sure your friends are on them, because it's not going to be the same information, nor will it be the same Riot members coming and giving this information. So it's a great time for you to network, great time for you to connect, and also get the knowledge of how to get into the industry. So once again, my name is Justice. If there is anything that you all need, I'm going to drop my email into the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me for any future events or things that we have coming up. But from this point, I do not want to take up any more time because this is an amazing segment. I'm going to pass it over to Victoria, who is our lead for the Riot, this specific Fireside Chat series. So Victoria.
Thank you so much, Justice. Welcome, community. Oh my gosh, we're thrilled to be here today. You have no idea. I can't believe we have 100 of you on the call right now. As Justice said, we're going to continue this November series with a segment every single week, especially geared towards career readiness. We have a ton of writers on the call with you right now who are going to help guide you through resume prep, and I want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. I'm Victoria Sanchez. I'm the Diversity Community Program Manager. Joining me today, I'll pass the mic over to, we'll start with Alex. Alex, if you can introduce yourself, tell us your preferred pronouns, your title, and then maybe like how long you've been working at Riot, and then pass the mic over to the next writer.
Sure thing. Hey folks, I am Alex Hurd. My pronouns are she, her. I've been with Riot for just about a year and some change, and I am a recruiter in esports and publishing. And I'm going to popcorn it over to my colleague Hatu.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. My name is Hatu Kanu. I am also a recruiter in esports with Alex. Fun fact, we actually started on the same day. So have also been here for a year and change. And yeah, very excited to be here with all of you. Did I say my pronouns? He, him. And yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Ask any questions that you need. And yes, who is next? Let's see. Christian.
We'll do Christina.
Oh, Christina, excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's good. Hi everybody, how are y'all doing? It's a lovely, lovely day in Los Angeles. My name is Christina Vombrin. I'm a senior program manager at Riot Games. I sit on the central tech team, and yeah, I've been at Riot for about 3 months and some change. I don't know. It's been a few months, but it's been a lot of very exciting times being here with Riot. And I was also just with Hatu and Alex in Atlanta, and I miss them very much.
We miss you too.
Hanging out with them.
Miss you. Come back.
Yeah, I will. I'll try to. The peach cobbler French toast was really good. So
You always have the good stuff.
yeah, I do have a dabbing penguin on the jacket. People are commenting about that. It is a dabbing penguin.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll popcorn it back over to you, Victoria. Is Christian here?
Christian is not here for this one, but I know we have John
Hernandez.
John.
Hello, everybody. John
Hey,
Hernandez.
John.
Pronouns are he, him, and I've been with Riot, about almost a year now, just a couple months shy, and I'm a recruiter supporting the publishing team.
Awesome.
Really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So now that you know the rioters in the room, before I pass the mic over to Hatu and Alex to give you a more in-depth look about the resume, the last thing I want to say is that we really encourage you to ask any questions throughout the workshop. So we ask that you start to drop your questions in the chat as they come up. And then at the end of it, Justice is going to collect all of your questions and save them for the end of the workshop to ask any of our panelists today. Sound good? Awesome. So before I pass the mic over to Hatu and Alex, I wanted to just take a moment to introduce Riot Games, and then we will take it from there. So let me share my screen. How's that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Thank you so much.
Teamwork.
I really appreciate it. Awesome. So yeah, Riot Games was founded in 2006 with the mission to become one of the most player-focused game companies in the world. We wanted to really make it better to be a player, so we put the player at the center of every single decision that we make. As you can see, our first game was the League of Legends, but ever since then, we've really expanded our portfolio to so many other games like Teamfight Tactics, The Legends of Runeterra, and Valorant. We've actually even expanded our reach into entertainment with our award-winning show, Arcane. Tell me, how many of you have ever played Riot's games or watched Arcane? Drop your favorite Riot game in the chat. I see some hands up. Have any of you seen Arcane before? Awesome. Riot's headquarters is in LA, but we have so many offices globally. We have over 4,000 Rioters and 20 plus global offices. This past year, we've been certified as a great place to work. We actually have a virtual tour of our LAX office. We won't have time to view it today, but I'm going to drop that in the chat so that you can take a tour on your own time and let us know what you think. We often get the question, do you need to be a gamer to work at Riot? And the short answer is no, you don't need to be a gamer at Riot. There are certainly roles that require gaming knowledge, but there are also so many roles at Riot that don't. For our non-gaming roles, what's really important is that you have that player empathy, right? All the decisions I mentioned that we make here at Riot are based around our players, so that player empathy is going to help you no matter what role at Riot you're in. If you're interested in interning at Riot, we're currently accepting applications for certain roles for our 2023 summer internship program. I saw that Sam Garcia is on this call, who is one of our recruiters from our university programs team. So she will be joining us for some of the later sessions to answer any questions you might have about it. But I wanted to put that pitch in there for the program. So that said, I'm super excited, and without further ado, to introduce Alex and Hatu to give us an in-depth look at what makes a stellar resume at Riot and how you can stand out.
Awesome. Cool. Excellent. Thank you so much for the introduction. Everybody, we are very excited to be here with you. So just want to give you a little bit of run through of what we're going to be looking through today. So first, we're going to go over the hiring process, right? We want to give you a little bit of an overview of from the other end, when you submit your resume or when someone reaches out to you, what does that process look like? What should you expect? Like, what are the different steps that are going to take place? And how can you think about preparing yourself for those? After that, we're going to look over the importance of resume and LinkedIn. Definitely want to highlight the importance of LinkedIn for sure. And then after that, we're going to have a breakout session. So I know that all of you were asked to bring your resumes to be able to look over them. We have a few folks who are in the room who are actually going to help you with being able to kind of see areas where you could improve in your resume, areas that are really strong to continue to highlight. And at the end of this, the goal is really to make sure that you're able to have that backbone of having a very, very strong resume, regardless of whatever position you're applying for. Good. Next slide. Resume review. Next slide, please. So what does the hiring process typically look like? Next slide, please. So the first aspect that comes into the hiring process is application review or sourcing. So what do I mean by that? A lot of you are probably familiar with, you see a link for posting and you submit your resume there. Well, on the other end, a lot of us who are in the room, what we're generally doing in those situations is we're looking over your application. Whatever is asked for, whether it's resume, sometimes cover letter, which we'll talk about, sometimes sample, but we're actually reviewing those and we're making decisions of whether we think you're someone who should enter into the process, if this could be a good fit, or another role would probably be a better fit. On the other hand, we do something also called sourcing as well. So that's where we go out actively into the market to go find candidates and try and tell them about the roles and also make sure that they understand the roles and get them into the process. So that happens. The next aspect is the hiring manager review. So the hiring manager, the person who would be managing you throughout the process and when you're eventually at the job, generally will look at the applications based on some notes that we give them as well and make a quick decision of whether they think this could be a good fit, right? So this is another vote of confidence, and they can see areas where they're really excited about candidates and decide that they want them to go into the process. Next step. We are going to the recruiter screen. So again, the folks that are in the room, essentially what we're doing is we are having a quick conversation with you to get a better understanding of your background from the standpoint of experience that you've had, some of the interests that you have as well, and then what you're looking to do in the future. I can't state enough how important these end up being. I don't like to phrase it as being a gatekeeper, but there are a lot of times where sometimes people don't take that as seriously as they should. I'm sure John and Alex could definitely attest to this, and unfortunately cannot move you forward because we don't have the right information or get the right signals to put you in process. Next aspect, we move into the interview portions. So depending on role, this is going to take various forms, and it'll be different depending on role and depending on level. We have two kinds of main interviews that generally will occur. So the craft skills interview are interviews that are more specific to the role that you are applying for or the job that you're going to be doing. People can assess that through take-home assignments. They can assess it through cases, things of that nature. They can assess through, if it's a technical interview, they could do a code pair or hack rank. Any one of those would be like a craft interview. We, on the other hand, have another type of interview called a soft skills interview. So those are mainly meant to get a good sense of whether you're a cultural fit for the organization and the team. Get a good sense of if you're a values fit. For us at Riot, we have values interviews. We want to understand if you are aligned with the mission and values that we have through those interviews. But across the board, this is generally what's going to come up.
And I just wanted to add here, one thing with soft skills interviews is this is fairly consistent throughout any company that you may interview for. And as Hatu mentioned, one of the things that we're assessing can be cultural alignment or values alignment, but this also can look at communication styles. This can look at collaboration styles and also how you might work with your potential team and what that could be potentially. So just wanted to add in that little piece.
Yes, absolutely. And that's very important. Regardless of where you are, it's definitely going to come up, right? So you definitely want to make sure that you prepare for those and have the right answers that you could use across the board. Next, hopefully all goes well. Everybody says yes, and then you get an offer. You get the offer, even if you're happy with it, you negotiate. Can't stress this part enough. Negotiate the package. It's not always just about the base salary, but overall just negotiate. And then last step, next step, you get your new role and you start your new role. So all of this is just an overview so you understand on the back end how all of this works. Sometimes it's hard to understand when you're actually in the process what the high level looks like, especially with some of those earlier portions. But overall, by and large, this is what you can expect from any recruiting or interview process. All right, so obviously the main event, kind of why we're all here. And Alex, I'm going to need your help to kind of look in the chat and tell me some of the answers that you see here. But can someone tell me, like, why is having a resume important?
Feel free to type your answers into the chat here. Yep, exactly that. A chance to show off your experience, your skills, highlighting your technical skills, creating a personal brand. Oh yeah, we got all these hot answers. They're coming in. Y'all are right on the money. So all of this is super duper important. So just to give you some context or framing for this, some roles that we're looking after have hundreds, if not thousands of applicants. It can be really, really high. So having a strong resume that highlights your skills and capabilities is one of those ways to really set yourself towards the top of that pile. Not every role is going to have that many applicants, but again, having something clear where we can look down and say, all right, I think this is our person is going to be so advantageous for you throughout the process. And I'm going to go into this next question, if that's all right, but how many of y'all have LinkedIns?
Okay, I like seeing I do. I like seeing I do's.
So as we mentioned earlier in the hiring process that sometimes we source candidates. LinkedIn tends to be basically the major platform where we're sourcing candidates from for most any type of role. So having a LinkedIn that can be basically a carbon copy of your resume is another way to set yourself up for success for roles that you might not even think about because we're looking for you for these roles.
Absolutely. And like Alex said, you really want this to be something that's robust and strong, because from our standpoint, there are actually specific aspects from a job description that we're looking for. And we use LinkedIn a fair amount. I'm sure everybody can raise their hand here. John can tell you, Alex can certainly tell you as well, that there's specific terms that pop out. And if you don't have a LinkedIn, or if your LinkedIn isn't strong enough with those specific terms that are necessary, your resume may not come up. So absolutely important to have a LinkedIn. Hopefully by the end of this, everybody that I saw a lot of I do's, which is fantastic. I hope it's 100% by the time this is all done. Okay, so why is your resume important? I saw a lot of fantastic answers there. So really, in summary, what we're trying to do is you want to highlight your skills and experience, right? This is supposed to be a summary, and I'm going to say it again, it's supposed to be a summary of some of the important things that you've done and been able to accomplish within your past role. We don't need it to be an all-expansive list of all the things that you've done, right? Some of the other aspects are, if they're not tied to the role, you can leave those off, but you want to have clear, concise bullets of exactly what you've been able to accomplish in your roles. You want to also make sure that you're making it that the hiring manager and the recruiters are actually really excited about your profile. I can't tell you enough how the feeling of being a recruiter, and sometimes you see a resume that's just really stellar, and you tell a hiring manager, I have to speak to this person. We have to get them into process. And you can do that off the strength of having just a strong resume. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. And the last thing is having a strong resume really just opens doors, right? For you within roles of interest, industries of interest. The resume is always the first step. It's the most important first step in a lot of times. So you really don't want to overlook this. It's something that Alex and I were having a conversation last week. We still edit our resumes continuously all the time. I'm sure the same thing with John and Christina. Like it will never get to a point where it's perfected. So you want to have it as a +1 for you, or +1,000, whatever, that will help you really advance in your career. All right. So we talked about the importance of the resume. Let's talk about what are the important components of building out a resume. So Alex has graciously provided her resume here. So want to point out and highlight a lot of the things that she has here. And definitely put your questions in the chat, because we'll do Q&A as well. But I want to show you exactly what she has done well here. And Alex, also chime in with other aspects that you want to talk about as well. So first, she has her name at the top. As you can see, her name is in a font that's bigger than the rest of the resume. The resume is about you. This is your show. It's important to have your name there, and having it either bold or larger is definitely a good thing that we always suggest.
Actually, if you don't mind going back, Victoria, it looks like Hatu might be a little bit frozen here. So just going to continue from what Hatu is saying here. Clarity is so important. So actually, here we go. He's back. I'm going to let him pick
Oh, sorry. So sorry. Okay. So I know I talked about the name, and then contact information. I was saying that she has her email and that she has her phone number, and was asking Alex, what are your thoughts about having your address on your resume?
Not entirely necessary, though. Just remember, whenever you put anything on the internet, it lives forever. So having your resume, or excuse me, having your address on your resume could leave you subject to just having that information kind of floating out there. Not entirely necessary. In some international regions, that's a requirement, but generally here, it's something you can omit.
Yep, exactly. So I don't think I agree with what Alex is saying. It's not really as necessary as anymore, and for security reasons, it may actually behoove you to not have it on there. Next, she asks for education. So the major components of education that you want to have are the school, you want to have the month and year that you graduated, degree, and if there are any minors that were that are applicable to
the roles that you're applying towards. It's a great idea to have them included in the summary of your education. And then just another section, here we go, is you can include information on any affiliation, say you are part of a sorority or a fraternity, any organizations, volunteering, and community involvement. Though one thing to keep in mind is that the meat and potatoes of your resume is your experience. So keep in mind when organizing, you would want it set in a way that's going to highlight your skills and experience, and anything that can add to it can be a support.
Awesome.
Good.
So next here we have some resume examples. Next slide, please. All right. So Alex, can you go through this resume here? Just to give some context, Alex recruits for user experience, for UX mainly. And I want her to go through this resume and tell you exactly what are some of the key components that she's seeing.
So what I really like about this resume is how easy it is to read. Up at the top, of course, this is redacted, but that big black block is our candidate's name. It's clearly legible. I know who it is that I would be interacting with. In the top right-hand corner, you have portfolio, you have email address, you have personal website and phone number. So I can look at what might not be visually represented in this person's resume, but it's there in easy access. If you notice how minimal all of the support items are, or support content is to this candidate's meat and potatoes, right at the top, I can see that they were a production designer. I'm looking for UX and product designer, so I can tell that I'm already on the right track. I have a simple explanation of the duties and responsibilities that this person undertook when they were in this role. And just underneath that, they have their other relevant experience. So being in school, or if you're a recent graduate, you may think that, oh, is my intern experience applicable to this? Because is it really professional work? Absolutely. If it relates, this is something that we would like to know. And then just going to say, again, on this right side here, I have education right at the top, great support, clear and concise, direct. I can see that this person has had education experience within design, which is great for our UX and product designers. I have all of the skills and tools that this person might have used within their work and how they could relate to the job as well. Usually in job descriptions, you'll have different tools that we would look to use within these roles. So when we're doing sourcing, when we're in LinkedIn, using Boolean searches, I'm not entirely sure how often folks use Boolean searches nowadays, but we're able to take those skills, type them in, and create direct matches for our search criteria. And so another thing that I'd like to mention is being students, having, again, that professional experience and like potentially being intimidated by not having the most. If you see under other work, this person has listed all of their relevant projects that could have taken place in school, outside of school, but this shows to me that they are applying their knowledge in a professional manner, whether or not it was a W-2, received a paycheck type of job.
So thank you, Alex. That is, first of all, more expansive view than most of us get to see from someone else about a resume. But on average, Alex, and John, you can type in here as well, how long do you spend looking at a resume before you decide whether it could be a good fit or not?
5 to 10 seconds.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
5 to 10 seconds.
That is not an exaggeration. You heard her correctly. She said 5 to 10 seconds. That's on average how many times or how much time people are spending looking at resumes. So it becomes even more critical that some of those key components that we spoke about before, you're including those because you see the way that she just gave you an expansive overview of what she's looking for. Her eyes will scan through your resume very quickly for keywords and key aspects. So let's do the next example that we have here, Alex. So tell me what you see on this profile for a similar job, correct?
So these were candidates that had both actually applied to the same role. And so similar to our first candidate, it's so easy to read this person's resume. Everything is clear. I have their titles highlighted. And so we'll get to this in a second about resume tips. I'm sure you might have heard like all black or no color, no pictures, all of this, that, and the other. Generally, it depends on the recruiter and everybody has their preference. I personally like a little bit of color because it's going to bring my eyes directly to what I want to see. So I see that this person is currently or most recently has been a UX product designer. They have 2 masters in design, computer interaction, and then they also have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I see these skills beautifully listed here on the right, and then also additional certifications. So I meant on the left. So going back to the right, experience here, you have professional experience, professional experience, professional experience, and then going down to their project experience. Now, one thing that I'd like to highlight about this resume, and like I might be showing all of my cards here, but I just want to provide you some transparency. Has anyone noticed that this candidate is still in school? Because I didn't. And it was after we got to the soft skills interview where I realized, unfortunately, we couldn't move forward with this candidate for a full-time position because they were currently enrolled. But that's what a strong resume can do. It is about getting that visibility. It's about showing us your skills and capabilities and how they might fit to this role because we do want to talk to you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Next slide, please. So resume tips. First, oh yeah, you can bring all of them up. Awesome. Okay, so the first aspect that we need to talk about is formatting. So I am assuming that nobody here has more than 10 years of experience. I think that's a fair assumption. If it is a correct assumption, then your resume should not be over 1 page, right? 1 page is more than enough room to be able to tell us about your skills and experiences, education, and all of that. With margins, please keep the margins to 1 inch and make sure that it is, make sure that the font is legible, right? There's no need to have like 6.5 font. We would still like to be able to see what actually is on the resume. Alex, I believe you told me no horizontal resumes, correct?
Oh my God, please, no horizontal resumes. Like, if you can resist the urge to turn your resume sideways to make it more unique, it's going to work so well in your favor. Please resist that urge. If anything, it immediately just takes us out of the review process and we wonder, why is it this way? What might they be hiding by having their resume set horizontally? So exactly, rotate it 45 degrees. On point, Anton.
Exactly. Spelling, please spell check. Our eyes, even though we're scanning quickly, we do catch typos and they are glaring. They're not really grounds for dismissal, but it's like, oh, did they actually look at it? So definitely do that. And please no photos. At least that's my personal opinion. Alex, you can share yours. We love to see your faces. However, Alex.
So I am also of the camp, no photos on your resume. It's not necessary, and you are immediately subjecting yourself to implicit bias unexpectedly. It's something that is kind of unavoidable when it comes to pictures, but from my perspective as a recruiter, sometimes I see, ooh, a picture. and I'm immediately turned off from wanting to read the rest of the resume, even though there could be great experience there. So it could have absolutely nothing to do with how you look, but pictures of cats and dogs, I'm just going to say, in my book, those go a long way. But you would want to avoid bias as much as possible throughout the interview process, and not having a picture on your resume is going to help you.
Exactly. Definitely couldn't have said it better myself. Next aspect, keep it simple, stupid. KISS. I'm sure you guys have probably heard this. As we said before, the resume is supposed to be a summary of your experiences and skills, a highlight reel, if you may. We don't need to know everything that comes up there, but you want to make sure that you're using active language to describe some of the highlights of your experience and what you've been able to accomplish and do in each job. Tell us what the situation was, the action that you took, and what the result was. And using numerical information is also very helpful. Quantifying your experiences helps us get an understanding of the scale. And then, Alex, you want to talk about the resume builder?
Yes. So this is something that my cousin who worked in HR for the Memphis Grizzlies like 15 years ago told me. She said, Google a resume skill builder. So like that phrase, resume skill builder. Again, being intimidated by your experience is something that we want to avoid. Skill builders help to break out your experience into those actionable words to describe your experience. So it doesn't matter what your experience might have been. You can always phrase it in a way to make your resume and experience more attractive, and a skill builder will help you do this. Let's say that you've worked in retail and you were responsible for go backs. So you are highly organized, you have attention to detail, and you've got inventory maintenance experience. So there are so many different ways that you can market your skills and experience that are true to those skills and experience that you might not know, and a skill builder will help you with that.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly. Just to add on to that, the whole point of this is, even if your experience isn't directly aligned to what you're trying to get into or your area of interest, using something like a skill builder can help build that bridge to help us understand how your previous experience ties into what you want to do in the future. Cover letters. There are varying schools of thought on these. Alex, I'll let you go first, and I can then give my view about them.
So if an application requests a cover letter, absolutely you should. But generally, unless you're within a creative field and writing is one of the core responsibilities, I generally don't read cover letters. It is much, much, much more important to have a tailored resume to every industry you apply to. Again, that is unless your application specifically requests a cover letter. But having a tailored resume is going to set you apart much more so, because then again, as recruiters, one of those first things that we're looking for is how clearly I can read how well your experiences relate to those of these roles that we're looking for candidates for.
Correct. I also do not read cover letters because my roles do not generally require them. I have heard that they are helpful in certain instances. Christina actually has a story of how a cover letter was able to help her throughout her interview process as she was applying here. But by and large, if I don't ask for it, I won't read it.
But just to add really quickly, if you are within a creative writing discipline or any kind of writing discipline, please do submit a cover letter, because it's one of the first ways that we can see just a little bit of a sample of your work.
Correct. Exactly. And lastly, cannot stress this enough, edit, draft, edit, draft. This is a continuous process. It never stops. Alex and I were doing this presentation last week, and she actually saw something on her older resume. I was like, oh, I corrected that in another version. Version control is your friend here. Have other people look at it. Hopefully we'll be able to do some of that today to help you with catching some of those aspects, but it's a continuous process. Always edit, always draft, always add new aspects, and really just try to make sure that you're making it as strong as possible. All right. So we've gotten to the point of the breakout session. So Victoria, do you want to explain how we're going to do this?
Yeah. So in a moment, we're going to break you out into rooms. It'll be random. Each one of us as rioters will be circulating throughout each of the rooms. We know we have quite a few of you on this call. And this is really an opportunity to ask us any of your burning resume questions. You've heard the presentation, you have your resumes with you from what Justice said. And we're really going to use this time to have individual resume consultations. So in your group, feel free to ask us any questions. We'll be circulating around, and then we'll come back into the main session so that we can answer any lingering questions you might have.
Oh, Victoria, can I ask you, could you put that last slide, the penultimate slide up? Please?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And the reason I said that, meant to mention this before, is I would definitely suggest, or the one before this, I would definitely suggest to take a screenshot of this slide. It's definitely going to be very useful here and then just in the future of some key tips and key aspects that you want to include, whether you're just starting your career, you're 5 years into a career, 10 years into a career. These are all aspects that will always be pertinent. So definitely make sure that you use this as much as possible, keep it, and yeah, hopefully we can answer some questions in the session.
Excellent. So bear with me. I'm going to stop sharing and break you out into your rooms. We'll have about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll come back into the large group for a larger Q&A.
Alrighty, so as we're preparing for this, like if you have any questions, please do go ahead and write them down. 5 to 6 minutes may not seem like a lot, but y'all, we're gonna do everything that we can to help you and get all your questions answered.
There we go. Oops, sorry, y'all. It looks like we're all back now. I hope that, I know this was a very short session for our breakout rooms, but I wanted to open up the space for our Q&A period now, and I'll pass the mic over to Justice, who's gonna facilitate that.
Hello, everyone. So thank you again for being a part of this first and foremost of the next 3 to 4 that we have coming up. Let's go ahead and start getting some questions answered. I want to repeat once again, we had some technical difficulties, so there was a cap to this specific session. So literally you guys got like VIP. You guys got front row seats to the best and best of the information and the people. So shout out to you for being on time, being early, joining on, because you literally met the cap. So this is recorded. We're going to send it out to everyone that registered for the event so that everybody can have it. So let your friends know. If they missed it, no worries. They will get this recording. And then also for the following ones, we won't have to worry about that. Whether we put the cap up or we just post stream onto our Discords, we will do that in the future. But just wanted to make sure that I did at least address the fact that I'm sure some of your friends did not get to join, but hey, now you have the leg up on them. Now it's going to be up to them to go and actually do the research themselves. So, you know, make them work for it. So on to our Q&A. And so just for our awareness, everybody dropped in questions while we were talking through this series. So I have a few that I'm going to ask, and these are, of course, positioned to our Riot employees. So you are now back in the hot seat.
Just really quickly, while we're going through the Q&A, Victoria, can you put up that very last slide? We have our QR code, so you guys can add us on LinkedIn if you have any further questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I also really quick wanted to say too, I know some folks were saying in the chat they didn't have like a Riot person in their group. But I will say, like, I don't have a meeting for like 30 minutes after this, so I can hang out if that's okay. Am I allowed to hang out?
Yeah.
Can I hang out?
I'm also available to hang out for.
Okay, yeah.
I'm happy. Yeah,
and
I know
open for 30
screen
minutes.
sharing. Yeah, there were some screen share issues in my group. People couldn't share their screen. So if folks want to I don't know if we can adjust that at all in here, but I'm happy to like look at resumes or hang out for like 30, 40 minutes after to answer any questions people have. And I don't know if Sam is still here, but there were some questions about university partner program type deals. I don't know if Sam is still here though. I think she might be gone.
That's perfect. I will leave, excuse me, I'll leave the Zoom open and I'll be here. So we'll leave it open at least for another 30, 45. I'm super shout out to Riot. Like, this is exactly who we partnered with, because the last time that we did a session with JT, we were on for another 30, 45 minutes because students had so many questions. And I'm like, yes, I'm open for it. So thank you, all of the Riot employees that are on today. Let's first and foremost give them a round of applause. Shout out to you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You guys kill the game, literally. But also, this will be great for when you all want to do your one-on-ones. You guys can go ahead, create breakout rooms and do it however you would like to. So let's go ahead and get into our questions. So first and foremost, is there any standard timeline for each of the internship step processes?
So this would definitely be a question best answered by Samantha, because again, she is our university recruiter and would have those ins and outs. And unfortunately, we tend to be focused in like our pillars for recruiting. So we don't have as much information on the timelines for the internship process, but because the applicant pool is so high, and I'm talking like tens of thousands, it tends to take a bit longer. I want to say it's at least a few months long.
Perfect. Next question. If I have done many freelance jobs, and we know this coming out of COVID and our freelancers and contractors, is it better to put them under one experience tab with everything, or do separate experiences per freelance job? I love that question.
That's a really good question.
That is.
I think it depends, right? I think if the freelance jobs end up being focused on what you want to do, I would separate them out, depending on how much space you have. If they aren't necessarily as focused, then put them under one tab, right? But if you want to make sure that you're highlighting different aspects of every job, definitely separate them out.
I wanted to add here, it also, when it's saying like depends on industry, if you're in production, like live action production, post-production, sound production, if you are freelancing, especially between like bookended by full-time roles, feel free to use that space like freelance and list those different productions within that freelance window. Because, hey, let's be real, I got some freelance time on my resume too currently. So I think it really is important to address those gaps. But as we mentioned earlier, you really want to highlight the bulk of your work and experience. If that happens to be in freelance, that's okay. We do want to see it.
That's awesome. Next question. Do you use AI to skim through the resumes before a human sees the resume?
No.
Like a little TMI, but.
No, that's, there are so many stories about AI and recruiting and HR and like how it has failed. Everything is manual on our end.
Great to know. Does a lot of experience equal a strong application?
No. If it's not the right experience for the role, then it's not going to be strong for the role. So focus more so on having strong experience as opposed to more experience.
And it's okay to omit some things from your resume if they aren't relevant. I think it was probably 2 years ago, I finally took Starbucks off my resume from like 2010. So like when you're tailoring your resume to each position, you can omit those pieces that aren't relevant to the role that you're applying to. But if you're worried about gaps, as long as your strong experience helps to get you that interview, you can explain that throughout the interview process and even in recruiter screens.
Awesome. And so I am going to combine two questions into our last question. So the two questions: if I submitted an application a few weeks ago but revised my resume, should I reapply? Also, is it okay for me to apply for multiple positions?
So It depends on if you've had a response from your initial application. I will say that, again, because we're looking at resumes in 5 to 10 seconds, like if your resume is stronger on that second pass, sometimes it might make it through. And if we even will see that rejection previously, because we do keep all of that data, if your resume is stronger and if it's highlighting those skills that we are looking for, it's much more likely to get you at least to a recruiter screen. And then applying to more than one job, as long as it's intentional. It's never going to work in your favor to spam, but intentional applications are absolutely welcome, because I was just saying, and I'm sure Christina can also speak to this, there have been times where recently I hired somebody, I think he had applied 12 times, and this was the 13th role that he had applied to, and it was perfect for him.
I've also done that same thing. Yeah.
I was going to say, Alex, do you have the stats? I know last time we talked about this. I was like, I wonder how many
times I
applied to Riot. Can you look it up just in real time? Because I have applied many, many times to Riot. And I saw a lot of questions, just to kind of synthesize quickly, a lot of questions around like coming from a different discipline or having different industry experience or just not having maybe game experience. Like I only had 3 years of work experience before I landed here at Riot. I worked in fintech for 3 years. I didn't have any internships in undergrad. I only got my first internship after I graduated undergrad. And so my dream was always Riot Games. I always played League of Legends. I was obsessed with everything about Riot's culture. And I applied, I don't even know how many times. I'm sure like Alex has. No, can you tell? Are we allowed to tell?
I actually can't. It won't. After you're hired, it blocks all that information, so we can't pull it
up. Okay, well, it's definitely like maybe 30 times, I would say. Maybe 30, maybe 40, maybe that's very conservative. I don't know. It's a lot of times. It's kind of lame they block it. I want to know, Riot. Let me expose myself to the youth so they know what the trials I went through. But I interviewed many times for Riot. I will say too, if you are asked, some companies will ask you, like why this role? Why is this role a strong fit? I'd say be prepared to answer that if you've applied many times. Just be mindful, like Alex said, be intentional, be true to what you want and what you're interested in. Don't just be applying to director roles with like 1 year of experience. Try to be realistic about where your skills are at and what you can land for. But I know there were some questions around like interviewing skills. I'm trying to just synthesize the ones that I'm seeing a lot around like different backgrounds, different disciplines. Just speak to your strengths. A lot of skills actually transfer quite well to the game industry. So if you can just speak to what strengths you have, how it translates into the game industry, why you're passionate about the culture, you'll be set up for success. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I am going to close out the Q&A section. When you get a chance, Victoria, if you can either make me co-host or rename me host, what I'm going to do for our rioters, just in case, I know that the students will have a ton of questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen to the questions that we already have of Q&A, because we only got to touch on a few of those. So just in case you all wanted to answer any of these questions, I know that the students have some already, but I'm going to go ahead and share that screen. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that now. Are we good? Can you all see my screen? Awesome. I know let me know if you need me to zoom in or anything, but it's a lot of questions too, so it's good stuff. But I do want to say thank you to everybody for being on this call today. First and foremost, we maxed it out. We hit max capacity. You all are VIP, like I already said, so please just tell your friends to join on to the next ones. Come on a little earlier. I promise we won't have the same issue, but just making sure that we are accounting for everybody. This will be sent out to everybody that signed up through our Eventbrite. So you all will be able to get this recording and send it out to your friends as well. But anything from your end, Victoria, before we just finally close it out, for any of those people that do want to just go ahead and hop off after we do these closing remarks, please feel free to, but just want to make sure that we get it from you all.
We're all set on our end. Justice, thank you so much for having us. And like you said, we'll be on the call for a few minutes after to answer any further questions.
Good luck, everyone.
Awesome. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much. We will see you next week. Same time, same place next week. Same link, same everything. And you all can take it away from here. I'm gonna just keep up my chat just in case.
Do you know if folks can, if we can get enabled for screen sharing? Because I know that would have probably been helpful for some folks. I know some people had really specific resume questions. So if people have those and they want to like screen share, if they're comfortable screen sharing their resume, I know it's recorded. That could be valuable for some folks to kind of like maybe work through resumes as a group here.
Also, I do want to volunteer. I'll pop this into the chat, but my LinkedIn, if you haven't had it yet, if you'd like to like send through your resume, I'm more than happy to take a look as well.
And so how about this? Because I'm Victoria, can you send everyone from your team the email I sent you?
Yeah.
I sent Victoria this link for these questions. So then all of you can just have the questions rather than me screen sharing. And then anybody that wants to screen share can come on and screen share. You good with that? Okay. Stop sharing.
I'm going to forward it to you right now, y'all.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Victoria.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just felt bad. There were so many questions that I know some folks didn't have people in the room, and I did not expect this many people. So hi, everybody.
We did good. We did good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the questions. I know there are a few around like people with like 2 pages of experience. I saw a couple questions in the chat as well about like 2 pages of experience, and just to like really hit home the points that Alex and Hatu already eloquently made. It's really not necessary. It really stinks, but you don't need 2 pages or 3 pages. You can honestly trim it down to 1 page. I know there was a question as well around like professional summaries. I think they're helpful, but I don't think you should have a super complicated or like long one. I think 1 or 2 sentences, just very high level, is strong. Yeah, so I would love to just remind folks of that and making sure that as you're writing your resume, keep it really straightforward and simple. Even my resume, and I have 3.5 years of experience. I'm a senior program manager. I have a 1-page resume. So if I have a 1-page resume, y'all can have a 1-page resume. I know you're working on awesome things, but just try to think of it like Marie Kondo style. You know, if it's not sparking you joy, if it's not bringing you positivity, if it's not showcasing the skills you have for your future, you know, roles or the roles that you're interested in targeting, you can take it off your resume. And don't forget, it's not gone. It's not lost into the abyss. You can post it on your LinkedIn page. You can keep it on your LinkedIn under your skills and your past experiences. You just don't need it on your resume because that's your calling card, as Alex has said, for getting your foot in the door with interviews and whatnot. But Hatu and Alex, do y'all have anything else? I saw a lot of people asking about that. I know people also want to screen share their resumes too for feedback.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I think what you said there is important. I think I saw something also here about how many roles should I have on my resume. I don't think it's necessarily about the number of roles. Is that you're including enough good information about each role that you have on there, and that it fills the page, right? So yeah, I think that you just want to utilize that space well. Whether that professional summary is a good way to utilize it, whether that's the achievements or the affiliations aspect is a good way to utilize it, but just keep the eye on the prize of that role and making sure that what you're putting on the resume ties into that role.
And I just wanted to say this because I see this now that's popped up into the chat, but is also fairly relevant in terms of margins. Like 1 inch is just a loose reference. Essentially, you don't want your words running to the very end of the page, and you don't want everything completely scrunched together. You don't want too much dead space on either side of the information. As long as it is easily legible is what's most important.
Yeah.
And I think too, like in terms of spacing, and Alex and Hatu, I'll defer to your experience here, but I know I saw a few folks too in the past who have shown me resumes, and it's a little bit like mushed together. Like there's not a lot of spacing between their experiences. It kind of looks like a longer text block, would you advise, even if it's really valuable content, would you advise having like a couple of maybe inches of space between each role, like to make it more legible from like a white space standpoint? Or is it a good practice to kind of like put as much as you can on one page?
So I always like to add everything and then pare it down. If you're putting everything in there and you're like begging for more space, chances are you just need to edit. That is what's most important. Again, you want it to be as simple as possible. Just think that everybody who's reading your resume is super lazy, but they do want to give you a job.
I've been there where it's the roles are on top of each other, and you can do it where it actually is formatted well, but it ends up being a lot. So I think if you do end up having it where it seems like everything's on top of each other, make sure that it's just formatted well. And I think I personally think that that's okay. But to Alex's point, there's always stuff that can be cut. So make sure that you've looked over it, maybe give it to someone else to take a look as well to see if there's stuff that you can cut out, and use that as like your last option.
One other thing, feel free to mess with the actual letter spacing and like spacing in between lines too. So like one thing that I've done with my resume, and like we've mentioned about tailoring it, when you have your master resume, that's going to make it so much easier to put information in, pull it out, but just play with the spacing in the font settings, especially if you're doing things in Word.
Exactly. Like, listen, 11.5 is a thing. 9.5 is a thing. Like, just play around with those sometimes, and it does end up making a difference for sure.
Yeah, and I have seen a few questions too about like cover letters. Folks asking if they are going into a production internship or they've applied to a production internship, and what does that exactly look like if they've put like a lengthier cover letter?
So
I will say
we can't really answer about
we can't.
we
can't speak to like
internship.
Yeah, we can't speak to that. But what I will say is I don't think it's a negative thing to put in. Like, if I know most of our postings do say like, it's not required to have a cover letter, but we would, it's a great thing to have, or it's like, okay, it's kind of like it's like a cherry on top. So I will say, like, I wrote a cover letter for Riot. Like, I have it posted on my LinkedIn of what I did and all that fun stuff. And I made it very me, but also still tied it into the core responsibilities of my job. We can't obviously give specifics on like where your application is at or anything like that, unfortunately. But what we can say is, as long as you stayed true to who you are, you spoke to the strengths of the role, sounds great. But I also know there are folks that are dropping in like resumes. So I think people can screen share now, I hope. But if somebody wants to raise their hand or like come off of mute and ask if they can. Oh, I see there are hands being raised. Okay, cool. Let's see. I can't see who raised their hand first, so that's kind of lame. Felina, am I saying your name properly?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Did you want to share your resume? It is being recorded, just a heads up to folks, but.
Yes. I tried to press screen share. It says host disabled screen sharing. So should I send a link instead?
So just to give you guys a heads up, one thing about Zoom and with large parties is that we do tend to turn off screen sharing for participants just because of the large number of folks. So
yeah, I did turn it on. I'm a co-host, so I turned it on.
Yeah. It might be a Zoom function.
Yeah, can you try again now? It should let you.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
I don't have any actual experience. I recently switched majors, so a lot of it is relevant to political science.
What is your target? So production, like film production?
No, I applied for the production coordinator internship.
I mean, feel free to chime in, y'all, but I think that your information here is really like well laid out. It's very clear.
Yeah.
I think you have a pretty strong resume.
Yeah, I think that some things are done well. Obviously, we were talking about the name aspect. I think there's something that could be helpful, and I personally don't utilize these, but this is that area where folks will talk about objective. This could be a good place to do that, especially since you said that you're trying to pivot into a role. So just being able to show that that's an area of interest may be something that could be helpful. But I definitely agree that it's laid out well here. You've explained kind of like the organizations that you are part of, with the different experiences, and then what you've been able to do there. Can you scroll down?
Yes.
Okay. I would say, if anything, sometimes, and Alex and Christina, you guys can chime in here. Sometimes, if you want to have more, expound on certain experiences, and have more bullets for those that may be a little more relevant to what you're applying for or what you're interested in, feel free to do that. Again, you don't have to have all the different experiences that you have on here. If you want to, that's fine. But you can also utilize the space in a way of, like, if there's some that you feel are more representative of your skill set in a certain area, then feel free to have like 4 or 5 bullets there, and then cut some of the other ones out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And I know before we go to the next one, unless there are other questions, someone asked in the chat about would Riot ever ask, or should we include letters of rec written by former managers or intern supervisors?
Is this?
I want to say no. I want to say I don't think I didn't see a form when I don't think you would be asked for.
A reference? Like referrals in general are
referrals. Yeah.
References, like when you're on your resume, like, this is someone that you can talk to that can give good reference for my work experience. Okay, call up these people.
Having references, yeah, I think that's what they were called before. Yeah.
Like a reference, like a character reference, like someone saying, like, I vouch for this person, which is basically I think a referral ish now. Someone who's in the industry.
A direct referral would be better than a letter, a recommendation.
Yeah, there is a place on LinkedIn, someone said you can have someone write a recommendation for you on LinkedIn. I think that would be a better place than putting it on your application.
Correct. Usually, I haven't seen it where we ask for references here, but in other roles where they do, they would generally ask for references at the end of the process.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Joseph, I saw your hand is up next. If you want to screen share.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Gotcha. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
Please let me know if I need to zoom in more.
Yeah, just a little bit, please.
Gotcha.
And is this also focus production internships or just production work?
Yes. I've production. I've applied to the production internship for MBA.
Well, I can tell you that just from first look, I can tell that you are geared towards production. So, like, that's definitely working in your favor.
Yeah. No.
Unreal.
I think the things that you've done well here that have that are also beneficial are like putting related classes or related coursework is always generally helpful, especially if you're earlier on in your career, for sure. The project section also, like Alex said, definitely shows that that's an area of interest that you're focused on, and the objective also helps here as well. So other than that, easy to read format for sure. Like Alex said, the color that she likes to see pop, it's done, but it's not in a way that's intrusive or invasive. What is that QR code that you have at the top?
Oh yeah, so this was for a link to my portfolio in case people could just check it to their phones.
Okay, nice. Do you use those, Alex, if somebody sends you a link to a portfolio and it's a QR code?
No, but if you hyperlink your document before you export it to a PDF, the link will stay. So you don't necessarily need it.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. So link it instead, because people are more likely to click on that. Sometimes when I see QR codes, I just kind of like, I'm like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. Like I just said right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback.
No problem. Cole, looks like you are up next with your hand.
All right, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. And this was for the game design internship positions.
So just one quick note. When I see your game design and production work at Asterism and Forgotten, if you can add a month in there, because it makes me think, was this all of 2022? If it was a certain period, it's not going to count against you, but it'll help give us some frame of reference.
Yeah, okay. I'll note that down.
But this is just like a side note. I'm low-key jealous that you're at Hypixel. I like want to know all the things that are coming along with Hypixel.
Well, this is just the Minecraft server. It's not Hypixel Studios.
Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wish I was at Studios.
No worries.
That's the goal, I guess.
Yeah, I think it looks great, honestly, to me. I think you've got like strong, clear descriptions. I think maybe what might help, and maybe this could just be me, so Alex and Hatu, feel free to jump in, but maybe considering like a different font. It's a little like hard with the contrast, at least for me. I would just recommend like maybe white on black, like a white background with black font, just kind of static. And that way, if you wanted to keep
that. Are you screen sharing in dark mode though?
Oh yeah, or that too.
Yeah, because if you're screen sharing in dark mode, then you might want to do something darker than orange. But
that's the only thing I would like nitpicky, like
For the skills at the top, it seems like there's like spaces between, or where the like bars are. There's something that's empty there at the top.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can
right next to
here.
encounter design. If you like,
exactly.
Right there.
Yeah. So I know sometimes when you play around with formatting, it ends up messing that up. So just getting some of those things, if you wanted to make that whole aspect like justified or like left justified, so that it extends to the end, that could help initially. But I know with those spacing things, it ends up that's something that could easily happen. So just be careful about that kind of stuff.
When it's kind of spaced based on like the first line is game design skills, the second line is more the coding and like quality assurance skills, and then product management and so on.
I see.
So that's kind of why it's there, but yeah, I could definitely get rid of the space.
Yeah.
You could also, I mean, for those, you could also do like you could do like skills, and then you could put game design, put a colon, and then list them out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, if you want to just break them out, it's not just all skills. It's like what are some skills like languages, or what are some like product management skills? The way it's like more
position.
And I think there's I was gonna say I think there's a typo for experience at the top.
It happens.
Oh, good. Happens to all of us. Like, I make typos all the time. That's why it's helpful to get someone else to take a look, because they can be like, oh, I actually saw something. But that's like super minor, right? Like, I don't think I would have noticed it unless I was looking.
The first.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, of course. Did you have anything else, or are we good to move on to the next?
I mean, I guess one question is like, and you all might not necessarily know the answer to this, but what's the general experience level that specifically game design interns end up with, because I have a lot of dual enrollment credits. So this is actually my only summer to even get internships, because I'll be graduating in spring 2024. So just kind of seeing like, is it even realistic, I guess, to expect an internship or hope to get one?
I think I saw Samantha Garcia in the chats.
Maybe she did.
Yeah, we're like throwing everybody to Sam. Sorry, Sam.
Sorry,
You're just
Sam.
so knowledgeable. You're just so smart.
Her resident expert.
Our resident, yeah. If you're talking internships, Sam is the expert.
The go-to.
Yeah. Cool. But if there's something else, hopefully Sam can answer that for you in the chat, and then we'll move on to the next person.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good.
That's it.
Yeah, no problem. Elmer, looks like you are up.
Yeah, just give me a second to pull it up.
Yeah, no worries.
Actually, guys, I have to jump. Thanks so much.
Okay, no worries. I can stick
LinkedIn.
around for a little bit.
My link's in the chat. I'll see y'all later.
Bye, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah, I can hop.
Bye,
I think I can stay till 4. So I've got like 30 minutes.
Okay. Let's see. All right.
For the positions, I'm like usually applying for like software engineering roles or like QA engineer roles. But yeah, that's what I have at the moment.
Okay. I think technical skills, I would usually see folks combine front end and languages as well. So like Angular, React, HTML, and CSS, I would combine it in the same kind of thing with Python, C, C++, and JavaScript. I would put the internship experience or like more hands-on experience above like the education experience. More so just because it's going to end up being a little more relevant to what you're doing, right?
Okay, so you're saying putting this on top of the grader position?
Right, exactly. So I would say that that's going to be stuff that's going to be more pertinent. I know that you want to do it from a chronological standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think that because you want to make sure that because that ends up being like, oh, okay, wow, okay, that's like he's had experience at GoodRx as a software engineer. That you want that to make sure that it stands out. So even if you want to I'm trying to think, even if you want to combine the experience that you have from the lowest experience that you have here at the bottom, if you want to combine that with the top and bring it all to the bottom per se, and just do it from like March 2021 to present, right? So just obviously we know that you're not doing it when school isn't in session, and combine the strongest bullets from those and put them at the bottom, then it ends up being helpful because then we see, okay, cool, his internship was here, he's done tech lead here, and then this is stuff that he's doing in school.
Okay. So kind of like combining or kind of just doing this, right? But like for school, right? Or is that what you're saying?
Well, so what I'm saying is, okay, you can put I would take the top experience here that you have, introduction to computer graphics, and then the way you have computer systems and programming in C. I would actually make a new section, and say like educational or relevant like educational experience, because you can have a work experience section, you can have the educational experience section. That way you can still keep it chronological within those certain sections, but you're still prioritizing the work experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, reorganizing that can help a lot because you want the focus to be on the work experience that you do have. And by doing that, you can prioritize that for sure.
Okay. I'll do that.
And then leadership experiences are good. Okay.
Cool. Awesome. I know we have like a lot of people still with their hands raised. Justice, if you're still here, do you know if you can like open a breakout room and toss me in one? That way people can just go there. So like Hatu and I can divide and conquer if that works.
Actually, I have the breakout rooms still here from the last.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm gonna have to bounce
way...
in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ish. But yeah, I could do it. I could probably do it for the next 5, 6 ish.
I'm trying to see, where are you at in general?
And I know for folks trying to reach Alex, she said you can send her a connection request on LinkedIn, and then she'll accept it, and you can communicate with her through there. So anyone's trying to reach her, that is the best way to do it. I just saw a question from yes, somebody was.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I just have I was in a breakout room that did not have anybody in there. I don't know if okay, there are no breakout rooms. My bad. But yeah.
Oh no, you're good. I think Justice is just trying to set them up right now. So like I think I can try to go into one because I have like about 20-ish minutes left before my next meeting. So I can try to go through some like rapid fire style. But yeah, if you have a question,
Sorry. Hatu, do you know what breakout room you are currently assigned to? I don't see your name.
Oh, I do not. Let's see.
Let's see here. But if somebody wants to like just share their resume right now while we're working out the breakout room logistics, I think Lorenzo, it looks like you're next. If you're still here.
Yes, of course. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Had to find the unmute button.
Yeah, no worries. And for folks who have to like go, feel free to like, I think in the community Discord as well, it looks like there's a resume review channel. So folks can probably just toss their resumes there. I'm in the Discord now, so I can at least attempt to look at things when I get a chance.
This was mainly more focused at software or computer science kind of for game design.
Yeah.
Skills, tools. I would put the skills and tools. I put the skills section at the bottom because, again, you want to prioritize things in areas of importance. So your projects that you're working on and work experience is going to end up being more important. So for this, I would definitely do objective, education, project, skills, and then work experience.
All right. Thank you.
For sure. If someone else wants to put theirs on right now as we're working that out, then I can also look through as well.
Okay. Oh, I can't share my screen because someone else is sharing theirs.
I could stop. Unless there's anything else.
No, I think that's the main things. I think it's aligned. Well. Your spacing seems to be good as well. Even spacing between all the different roles. There's definitely uniformity in the way that you've presented everything. Maybe that actually is fine. I was about to say, not necessarily limiting yourself in programming languages that you're seeking, because then that can make it seem very specific, right? Because there could be another option that could be great, where it's but they're like, we're using Go, but he wants to work in C+. Right.
Okay.
So something like that.
Would I just limit it down to seeking co-op or internship position using programming skills or something, or just programming?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Sweet. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Atu, if you have 1 second, I would say jump into that room really quick.
Okay.
There's people that are assigned to that room. And then, Christina, you still here? Oh, she might be in her room. Okay, so then everyone else, I'm going to assign you to Christina's room because Hatu has to jump.
I guess we can all be here now, though, right? If
yeah, because she's already in that room.
Okay.
So I was just trying to make it easier for her. Okay, everyone should have gotten a request to join either room 1 or room 2.